Good evening, everyone. I'm Mary Conway. Carolyn Clifford has this beautiful Sunday off. The freight train was headed from Pontiac to Flat Rock. You saw the story first on 7 as Chopper 7 took you to the scene of the accident. It's just west of Somerset Mall. Right now, Big Beaver is closed in both directions at the railroad overpass, and Adams Road is blocked north of Derby. Our top story is live in the air with WXYZ7's Captain Craig Smith. Craig?
Well, thanks a lot, Mary. We got here on the scene just moments after this happened, as a matter of fact. We're at 16 Mile and Adams, and as I look down right now, you can see just the horrendous mess down here. This train was traveling southeastbound. There were 5 engines in all. We know that there were 97 cars that this train was pulling. 42, I counted, were derailed. It's derailed in like 3 sections between Adams and the roads south of this. I flew a representative from the railroad company today. He told me that a combination of things that could have happened to cause this train derailment, the track sloping downhill to the southeast, an accordion effect because basically the length of this train and the placement of these cars under me, which we can't see right now, but they were carrying rock. In fact, you're looking at this right now, Brian, if you can pan the camera just a little bit towards the north, you can see there's rocks in these cars here where they're kind of cleaning up this mess. There were several of those cars, and apparently because of the weight back here and the inertia, this train could have been the accident causing factors here. Live aboard Chopper 7 above 16 Mile and Adams, I'm Craig Smith. Back to you, Mary.
Thanks so much, Craig. Well, WXYZ7's Bill Proctor continues our live Team 7 coverage from the ground. Bill, what does it look like from there?
It looks like an absolute mess. You know, these are tracks that are absolutely as busy as any in the entire metro area. You've got dozens of passenger and freight trains running up and down here just about every day. So a lot of people listen to this area because they know the trains are coming. They know what it sounds like, and people who live near these tracks knew immediately that something was wrong.
You get used to the sound, and all of a sudden something different was happening. It just sounded like something was dragging. You could hear the noise, and you could start, and I just said to my husband, it's going to derail.
From the air, it was clear to see the surprising length of the freight train. More than a mile long, it's just 3 shy of 100 cars, many of them automobile carriers. From ground level, you could see the power of the many tons of steel and cargo that was moving at about 45 miles per hour. How it ripped apart the stone track beds, the rails, and then tossed freight cars into piles. Ray Salerno's Birmingham condo is just 20 yards or so from the accident.
I heard an explosion and a crash, and instantly I saw smoke gush up into the air, and it could be dangerous as cars could fall off the bridge and injure someone.
Channel 7 viewer Greg Martin shot the video of the smoke rising from the fire that flared seconds after the crash.
According to the police, it was one of the vehicles inside the multi-level cars. They do have gasoline and, of course, batteries in there, and I don't know if there was a spark that ignited a gas tank, or I really don't know, but it was one of the vehicles that was on fire inside the cars.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
There were many hours of inconvenience. For thousands of people over several square miles, detours around main roads, relatives simply unable to visit loved ones at the Heartland Healthcare Center. Back live now, you're looking at what made this accident so incredibly dangerous and potentially a lot worse. You see those power lines down there? Well, that's where a lot of the train cars ended up right between a couple of those huge towers. It could have knocked out some high tension lines and probably electricity for a lot of people in this general vicinity. You should know, though, that with this inconvenience, any passenger trains coming in and out of Chicago, if you come into Detroit, you won't be able to come up to the Pontiac station. They'll put you on a bus and take you up to Pontiac. And if you want to leave on a train later on today, well, you have to get on in Detroit. But that's the minor level of inconvenience for travelers. It could be a problem up here for the roads for a little while. Reporting live from Birmingham, Bill Proctor, WXYZ7 Action News.
All right, thanks so much, Bill. And right now, police are asking motorists to avoid the entire area of Adams and Big Beaver.
The wreckage is spread through 3 cities, Birmingham, Bloomfield Township, and Troy, and it's estimated to be more than a mile long. A hazardous material emergency has been recently called off, and this came only after firefighters spent quite a bit of time hosing down parts of the wreckage that caught fire when the train derailed. Now, police say the impact was so great it ripped apart tons of freight cars while leaving others crushed and scattered all over the area. Police say the conductor was given a red light command to slow the train down, and that's when the derailment began. The train was heading to Flat Rock from Pontiac, and it was carrying various types of cargo, including new GM cars and yellow phosphorus. an agent which, given the right circumstances, could turn very deadly. No one was hurt in this accident, and investigators are now on the scene sifting through all this rubble, trying to find out exactly what happened.
Are there any toxic chemicals aboard that train?
There were some aboard the train, but there are none leaking.
There are none what, sir?
They're not leaking.
Okay, so there is no danger to anyone?
No, there is not.
Right now, the hazardous materials emergency has been called off, and that emergency has kept hundreds of area families behind locked doors. Now, Big Beaver between Adams and Woodward is right now closed and may remain closed for a couple of days until this wreckage is cleaned up. Live from Chopper 4, Jason Hill, back to you.
All right, Jason, thank you very much. We also have cameras at the other points of impact. This is the scene near the caboose. Our team coverage continues now near the middle of the derailment with News 4's Bob Bennett. Bob?
Yes, Rick, standing on what's called the Derby Street overpass, or the Derby Street Bridge here in Birmingham. Quite a crowd gathered around here. Cameraman Bob Dimming is going to show you the people gathered here to take a look at the wreckage. 97 railroad cars that went off the track, at least 40 of them went off the track, and the result is quite a mess. It is a Canadian National freight train. At noon, it was southbound, going through the Birmingham Bloomfield Township area. Pam Powers, who lives in an apartment building overlooking the tracks, looked out of her window and immediately knew the train was in trouble.
Funny things started shaking, and I said to my husband, the train is going off the track, and I raised up from the chair, dropped the paper, turned around, looked out the window, and I grabbed the phone to call 911 because then I could see it was wobbling and it was going, as you can see back here, and the debris was flying up. Actually, some of the railroad tracks, or the ties, some of the kids said flew right up over.
There are hazardous materials, phosphorus and other chemicals in some boxcars, but those cars did not rupture. Police told residents of a nursing home and people in nearby residences to keep their windows closed as a precautionary measure. One woman walking her dog believes the train was traveling above normal speed.
I just thought to myself, boy, the train is really barreling through here. It was going extremely fast, which, you know, and I thought it's going too fast. Why is it going too fast? And then I heard all the sirens.
I heard the whistle blow, and they don't normally blow the whistle when it comes through here. And then shortly after the whistle blew, it felt like an earthquake.
Now, no one was injured. That's the good news. The bad news, some of these boxcars contained brand new cars and trucks, General Motors products picked up in Pontiac. Several of them were damaged. In fact, 2 caught fire right after the crash, and that explains the smoke and flames some people saw. And it could cause quite a problem during the morning rush hour, traffic problems. In fact, some are speculating it may be 2 or 3 days before the tracks are completely cleared. From Birmingham, Bob
train
Bennett,
derailment in Oakland County stalls traffic on and off the tracks.
It's our first story tonight. The aftermath stretches through 3 cities, Troy, Birmingham, and Bloomfield Township. The Canadian National train was carrying new cars and some hazardous materials when it crashed. Let's go straight to UPM 50's Meg Oliver, who joins us live in Birmingham with the very latest. Meg?
Sherry, the first thing we want to tell you tonight, if you live or work in this area, Big Beaver is closed between Woodward and Adams, and it will stay closed for tomorrow morning's rush hour. Make some alternate plans tonight. Now take a look behind me. About 30 cars derailed here. The train was traveling from Pontiac to Flat Rock with new cars and trucks on board when it jumped the tracks. From the sky, it looks like a toy train an angry child turned upside down.
Something you don't see every day, that's for sure.
It's unbelievable.
They lined up, even climbed up to catch a glimpse, snap a picture, and simply stare.
I heard this boom and another boom.
Barbara Calderwood says she could hear the screeching metal grind to a halt a couple miles away. She rushed over with scores of other people to see the twisted train.
Like, wow, a mess.
Neighbors grabbed their home video cameras and covered their mouths as they tried to capture the fires that followed. Smoke filled the air as some of the cars and trucks on board burned to a crisp.
Cars in the car carrier were on fire, and there were some explosions from that. That'd be tires, you know, things that overheat in a car fire.
The train was also carrying some hazardous materials, but none of those cars derailed. They're still sitting on the tracks.
It's a real disaster. It's a real shame. I wonder if, you know, what caused it.
As investigators piece that answer together, curious onlookers remember what's important.
I was thinking how fortunate there were no passengers.
Now, no injuries have been reported. The only people on board were the conductor and the engineer. Again, the cause is still under investigation, and once again, Big Beaver is closed between Woodward and Adams, and it will stay closed for tomorrow morning's rush hour. We're expecting a comment from Canadian National any moment now, and we will bring you the very latest later on in this newscast if it becomes available. We're live in Birmingham. I'm Meg Oliver, UPN 50. That's right, Harry. We told you about the train derailment at the top of the hour. Big Beaver is closed between Woodward and Adams. The train derailed in Birmingham this afternoon. Now we're joined by Mr. Fenton from Canadian National. And can you tell us what you're doing tonight to clear the tracks?
Well, tonight we've got a number of crews in that are re-railing cars. We've got 4 divisions in, which consist of 8 side booms, which is a lot of equipment to get the main line open. We expect we'll have the cars re-railed by noon tomorrow and expect to have one of the tracks open by around 10 o'clock tomorrow night.
Okay, thank you so much for taking the time to join us tonight to fill us in on the latest. Again, if you live or work in the area off of Adams, between Woodward and Adams, Big Beaver is closed for tomorrow morning's rush hour. We're live in Birmingham. I'm Meg Oliver, UPN 50.
A train jumps the tracks in Oakland County. Today, crews clean up the crumbled mess and investigators try to determine a cause. Tonight, operators reveal details of what happened just moments before the accident. As WXYZ-7 first reported, more than 40 freight cars derailed in Birmingham yesterday, closing nearby roads and tying up traffic. That's where WXYZ-7's Kimberly Craig is live now with more. Kim?
Well, Mark, this derailment has certainly drawn a lot of attention, and there is a lot to see out here. A spokesperson for Canadian National says crews have been brought in from all over the country to clean up and replace these tracks, and they're not yet prepared to estimate the dollar loss, but they say this kind of derailment is extremely rare. Rail crews had the long, grueling task of cleaning up after the 97-car Canadian National train jumped the tracks. Almost half of its cars derailed and left what looked like a graveyard for old twisted metal.
It's pretty bad work.
Got a little worried when we heard there might be some hazardous materials on the train. I got ready to leave in case we needed to.
There were some initial concerns with hazardous materials, but a Canadian National spokesperson says the cars that usually carry toxic phosphoric acid only contain some chemical residue, and those cars were not punctured.
It's amazing that they didn't hit any supports for the bridge or the high-tension wires here.
So what would cause such an incredible derailment? Right now, investigators say that around noon Sunday, the train's engineer saw the red caution lights. The train was traveling around 45 miles per hour. He hit the emergency brakes, causing his very heavy load to be forced off the tracks. Thankfully, no one was hurt.
We usually walk down on the tracks on Sundays, so we were lucky enough to be down there with the kids and watch the trains go by.
By 10 p.m. tonight, the westbound track should be cleared and open. By tomorrow night, we are told that both directions should be open. Now, Amtrak does run trains through here twice a day between Chicago and Pontiac. We're told that they are diverting, and it's important to know that although no one was injured, thankfully no one was injured, there were apparently 250 brand new GM vehicles on board that train, and GM workers are now surveying them for damage. Live in Birmingham, Kimberly Craig, WXYZ-7 Action News.
Thank you, Kim.